Let's look at creating facets in ggplot. Basically, when we have, we can divide the plotting area into different groups, and then we can basically create figures within those smaller subsets. Or basically imagine a grid, and then we will have several plots, right? So let's see how this works. So we will have ggplot, not gplot, ggplot right there, and input as df aesthetics. Let's say we want to see the relation between horsepower and mpg, right? We did that in the scatter plot. So on the x-axis I want to put the horsepower, and on the y-axis I want to put mpg, and I will say, so if I just do this, let's directly do this, create this. So we have a single plot, scatter plot, it shows mpg versus horsepower. Okay, but let's divide this further, and let's create a facet. So this facet grid right there, and we want to have rows, and each row will represent the cylinders. So I want to dive deeper into this figure, and I want to create one row for each cylinder type. And I want to see how the scatter plot looks like for each cylinder type apart from each other. So basically we're going to do grouping inside, and then create figures inside those groups for each group. So, and this is how it's used. So this vars is basically for kind of a function there, and then we'll put the variable we are interested in, and this variable should be a discrete type, so meaning there should be a few unique values for the cylinders, right? Let's run this. You see 3-cylinder, 4-cylinder, 5, 6, and 8-cylinder vehicles have each their own row, and then a scatter plot is created in each of them. And you can kind of, and one neat thing is that both the y-axis, as you can see here, and the x-axis is held constant. So that's why we now can easily compare these figures with each other, right? Each y-axis is running between 10 to about 50-ish, 40 plus values, and it's constant, and also the x-axis. So now we can clearly see that 4-cylinder vehicles have larger mpg and lower horsepower, while 8-cylinder vehicles have lower mpg and larger horsepower. Yeah, right? We can see this behavior. So we created one row for each cylinder type. Maybe we are more interested in actually creating one column for each cylinder type. So for that we will say cols is equal to this, right? So that's the only change we need to do. Now we will have 5 columns, and each column will represent a cylinder type, as you can. And then we will still have, x-axis is constant, right, for each one of them. As you can see, it's between 50 to 200 plus, and the y-axis is between 10 to 40 plus. And again, you can clearly see, okay, 4-cylinder vehicles is higher in mpg, lower in horsepower, while the 8-cylinder vehicle is higher in the horsepower and lower in the mpg. 6-cylinder vehicles is somewhere in between. How about using both rows and columns? So let's go here, copy this. So for example, let's keep the cylinders for the columns, and let's create another, let's use another variable, another categorical variable for the rows, and I want to use the origin actually here. So we said origin, there's 3 different areas where the cars are manufactured. So let's put that there. So 1, 2, and 3, right? So now we still have the scatter plots by using this geom point, but we have a grid now where each column is a cylinder type and each row the country type or origin type based on where the car was manufactured. So by just quick analysis of this, I can tell that since 8-cylinder vehicles are only in 1, right? There's no 8-cylinder vehicles in 2 and 3. I think 1 represents USA, maybe those large engine vehicles that are produced in the United States. So that's 1 probably represents United States. I'm not sure about 2 and 3. So 1 is Europe and 1 is Japan, but they both have 4-cylinder vehicles. One of them has 3-cylinder and the other one has 5-cylinder vehicles. But what we can do is, in this case, let's say we can directly show go here. So okay, this is all 8. Now 4. I'm trying to see if I can get to this 3 and 5 cylinder vehicles. Based on the name of the vehicle, I think we can guess. Yeah, I didn't want to use deep like filtering, but maybe we can directly do that. So let's do that. So filtering, filter, right? So we can say origin. Oh, one thing though, another good thing is using this in percent in percent in percent. So now I can give it a vector of values that I'm interested in. So I'm interested in seeing nuts, or this should be cylinders, by the way. Give me all the columns where the cylinders is either 3 or 5. Those are 3 and 5 cylinder vehicles. So 3 is Mazda. So I think 3 is Japan, and Audi, Mercedes, Audi. So 5 cylinder vehicles is originating from Europe. As you can see, these are European cars. 5 cylinder. Which one is 5? So this one is 5. So number 2 is Europe, right? And this number 3 origin has 3 cylinder vehicles. And 3 cylinder vehicles are these Mazda. So that's coming from Japan. Last row is for Japan. Okay, so that's how I kind of resolve the mystery of what each origin represents. But that's it. So this is how you can create facets. Now, one thing you might realize is that as you create more and more things like this in a plot, it kind of becomes harder maybe to see lots of things. But one of the thing here is that we don't have any data points to show in these areas. So if you had more data points in your data set, and if there was also some kind of different distributions going on for each combination that you're interested in, I think these kind of plots could be quite useful. Yeah, and that's it. And another thing of note, it's not only restricted to scatter plot. You can create any kind of plot. You can create bar plots, line plots in these figures, histograms. So yeah, so you can do those. For example, let me try to do that. I say y equals to mpg, and I want to change this into histogram. If I run this, you see histograms are being created. So y is mpg though, so let's maybe change this to x equals mpg, but it will be easier to understand. Yeah, so we have mpg, and we have created histograms for each cylinder and origin combination, as you can see. All right, so you can create different types of plots here. All right, thank you.